More rain is falling in San Diego, but this storm is expected to wrap up soon. We'll tell you about the changes in our forecast. Starting soon, any new home built in California must include solar panels. How the new law is the first of its kind in the nation.
We've projected that about 12% fewer people will enroll because of the penalty going away.
Choosing to go uninsured. California's insurance marketplace is feeling the impact of changes to the Affordable Care Act. And all is calm. The San Diego Opera draws inspiration from World War I, one of its holiday productions. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The latest system has dumped nearly an inch of rain in San Diego and more is coming. This is a look at some of the storm clouds that moved over the downtown area. A flash flood watch is in effect until midnight. It was also coming down hard this afternoon in North County. This is video from I-15 near Escondido. As the storm was hitting the LA area, a Southwest Airlines plane had trouble landing in Burbank. This just after 9 this morning, this plane slid off the runway. No one was hurt. The FAA is examining if the weather played a role. A special material is installed on airport grounds to help slow down planes during incidents like this. And in the higher elevations north of Los Angeles, I-5 was shut down for most of the day due to snow. These pictures are from the National Weather Service in Caltrans. The freeway was shut down in the Grapevine area near the Tejon Pass. Dajia Swad has a closer look at the forecast for this storm.
Today has been a very active weather day and it will continue through these evening hours. Low pressure will continue to move its way eastward, but in the meantime, still some heavy rain to come in towards San Diego County as well as Ventura County and San Bernardino. We've been talking about some snow as well that has led to some road closures out towards the Grapevine area. Now, more localized, yes, we've been talking about heavy rain here in San Diego, but that track has lifted to the north, and that's why Los Angeles has been dealing with the brunt of the storm. Don't get me wrong, San Diego, we definitely been getting our fair share. So here's some rainfall totals from the storm thus far out towards Middle Fork, Little Creek, up to 3 inches, a little bit more than 3 inches, and at John Wayne Airport, 2.24 inches of rain so far, and still some more to come through tonight. Birch Hill rainfall totals right now 1.39 inches of rain, and at the San Diego Airport reported up to almost an inch. Our snowfall in towards Long Valley Ranger Station at Mount San Jacinto, a foot there. Big Bear Mountain, 3 to 6 inches have been reported so far. We'll continue to give more on this weather update in your extended forecast.
California is moving forward with a rule requiring new home constructions include solar panels. A state commission approved the rule change this week. It will take effect in 2020. California will be the first state to implement solar panels as a mandatory feature for new homes. Critics say it will make housing more expensive.
These policies altogether amount to Sacramento legislating energy poverty on Californians. There are so many people in primarily poor and rural and minority communities that are struggling to find a home to rent or buy altogether. And adding policies like this on top is going to make it that much more expensive for people to live and work in the Golden State.
The solar panel rule applies to single-family homes in any building up to 3 stories high. It's expected to cost more than $10,000 per building. A proposal to build low-income housing in the Clairemont neighborhood has taken a step forward. But KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the plan for some surplus county land is not being welcomed by all.
The county wants to hire a developer to build affordable homes on its land and ask the city to upzone the land to allow high-density housing. Some Clairemont residents opposed that rezone, saying low-income families, seniors, and people with disabilities would increase traffic and turn the neighborhood into a slum. But resident Judy Leshefka says Clairemont desperately needs affordable housing. She was interrupted by boos and hisses.
I know seniors who have had to move out of the area. Clairemont is becoming an area where only high-income people can live, and that is not how it...
The Planning Commission agreed and voted unanimously tonight to start the years-long process of getting the homes built. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
San Diego-based Qualcomm was part of a meeting of leading tech companies today at the White House. Presidential advisor Ivanka Trump organized the event. It was focused on how emerging technologies like artificial intelligence will impact jobs in the U.S. Self-driving cars are becoming more common in California, and that brings some new regulation. Starting January 1st, police will be allowed to seize any driverless cars operating on public streets without a permit. An assembly member in San Francisco wrote the new law after an incident with Uber in 2016 when the company was testing the new technology.
Now there's no longer going to be a human being behind there, so it'll be fascinating to see how that really leap in technology, how far it's gotten, and we're going to be monitoring the deployment of that technology very, very closely. I think it's very exciting.
Google is the first company to get a permit for a fully driverless car. It has also launched the first commercial self-driving car service in Arizona. Tax penalties will go away next year under the Affordable Care Act. As a result, many people are expected to drop their health coverage. KPBS health reporter Susan Murphy looks at how the state's health care exchange Covered California could be impacted.
Nearly 90,000 new consumers have purchased Covered California health plans since open enrollment began in October, and more than 1 million people have renewed their coverage. But Covered California's executive director, Peter Lee, expects tens of thousands of people to forego health insurance in 2019.
We projected that about 12% fewer people will enroll because of the penalty going away.
For the last 8 years, the tax penalty for not having health coverage charged the greater of $695, or 2.5% of household income. The mandate was eliminated this year by the Trump administration. Lee says people who choose not to have health insurance are taking a big risk.
They're doing two things. They're gambling on their own health, because some of them are going to end up in the hospital with big bills, but they're also raising health care costs for everybody else, because when you have healthy people choose not to enroll, that raises the cost for everybody else.
He says 50,000 people with Covered California plans last year had a cancer diagnosis, and more than 20,000 had a broken arm or dislocated shoulder.
Not one of those people went into last year thinking, hey, this is the year I should have cancer. This is the year I should break an arm. That's why we're out there beating the bushes to remind people that life can change in an instant.
He says nearly 100,000 people in San Diego are eligible for financial help, with premiums costing as little as $50 a month.
Health insurance can be confusing, and that's one of the reasons we're so happy to have literally hundreds and hundreds of licensed insurance agents, enrollers throughout San Diego, throughout California.
For coverage beginning January 1st, the deadline to sign up is December 15th. For help with enrollment, visit coveredca.com. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Last year, the U.S. saw an increase in the number of suicides and drug overdoses. As AP reporter Ned Barker tells us, that's having an impact on overall life expectancies for Americans.
Americans' life expectancy dropped last year. Researchers estimate that babies born in 2017 will live to an average of 78 years and 7 months. That's 1 month less than those born in 2016. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there were more than 2.8 million deaths in the U.S. last year, nearly 70,000 more than the previous year.
If you look at the major causes of death, there doesn't seem to be a common element. There's no silver bullet that if we fix this, life expectancy is going to increase.
The surge in drug overdose deaths is partly to blame. Suicides also played a large role. The U.S. suicide rate reached its highest level last year in at least 5 decades.
I think in many parts of the country there is a sense of hopelessness, that people are unemployed, they're not sure of their future, there's divisive politics, the income gap is widening, and I really do believe that people are increasingly hopeless, and that leads to drug use, it leads to potentially suicide.
Other factors driving life expectancy down include the rise last year in flu and pneumonia-related deaths. The results mark a continuing decline in how long Americans are expected to live.
The shock for everyone, of course, in the United States is that we've become used to having life expectancy go up. And it's been going up for decades. And so everyone is now concerned about whether or not this is a new important trend, what its social and economic implications might be, and what the underlying causes might be.
Of the 10 leading causes of death, including stroke, diabetes, and Alzheimer's, only the cancer rate fell in 2017. Ned Barker, Associated Press.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, tensions rising. The arrest of a Chinese executive complicates trade talks with Beijing. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Identifying the victims of the Camp Fire has been a slow, difficult task. 3 more people were identified in the past day. At this point, only 46 of the 85 people killed in the fire have been identified. 10 people are still listed as missing. This week, some of the people who lost their homes and other property in the fire are being allowed back into the area. They had been evacuated for nearly a month. It was an emotional experience for those returning to what used to be their home.
Well, I've had my cry, so I'm doing pretty good. You know, I guess it's just kind of come up here to get closure, because we had seen pictures and we had heard things from people, and we saw a picture of our neighbor across the street, their house ablaze. So we pretty much knew that ours was going to be gone too. We just thank God every day that we were able to get out alive. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's just stuff.
The property data company CoreLogic estimates the Camp Fire will amount to $9 billion in residential losses. Many victims are still struggling to find housing and navigate the insurance process. A former logging town survived the Camp Fire thanks to the work of volunteers. Sterling City is about 15 miles north of Paradise. KQED News went there to see how one woman's leadership made the difference.
The motto of that group when they showed up was, "We're not going to lose another town," and they didn't. And I attribute her with saving our community.
It was dark and it was smoky, and we were focused on just saving a piece at a time and getting around the corner here. And so it was coming up this valley, and Sterling City is over there. So my goal was to get around this corner.
We had fire very close. I said goodbye to my place about 5 times because things popped up, and then they quiet down again. Thank you to Diana here.
I think you know how I think now. So, thank you.
It's going to work out great.
What?
You're here.
I got division uniform. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Somebody said unicorn, and it stuck. Everybody had a laugh over it.
A running joke that this was division unicorn because we had to rely on a little bit of magic. And that's what I told them.
My hat's off to all the boys on the line and girls, the dozers, the hand crews, and Diana. She's a lifelong friend now. Actually, this was going to be my tree, but you're welcome to it if you want.
Okay, then give me.
I like the most unusual one I can find.
No, that's a Charlie Brown tree, but this is beautiful.
There you go.
This is awesome. Well, that was the whole point of saving Sterling City, was we did something that we were able to accomplish to make us feel good. And I think I said that on the first night. Let's save something, get away from the negative of this thing.
Are you in the area of drop point 15?
Nothing can prepare you for the devastation that we're seeing. So when we save a town, it was pretty good feeling. It made us feel like we're doing what we're trained to do and what we came to do.
That report is from KQED reporter Suki Lewis and was produced for the California Report. More coverage of the campfire can be found at kqed.org. A Marine has survived a mid-air collision off the coast of Japan, but another is confirmed dead and 5 others are still missing. The collision involved a Marine jet and a refueling aircraft. The Marine Corps says the aircraft were involved in a training mission. Japanese military conducted a search and rescue effort. The Marine Corps says the one survivor is in fair condition. During World War I, soldiers called a temporary truce to celebrate Christmas. That moment is the basis for the San Diego Opera's latest production. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando went to a rehearsal at Balboa Theater.
Imagine being in a trench along the Western Front in 1914 and being close enough to your enemies to hear them.
Only yards at times separated us. In fact, so close, you could hear a chap coughing.
In this theater, that is no further than the back row. So these people are going to be as close as the troops were on that night when everything started.
The night conductor Juan Carlos Acosta is referring to is Christmas Eve 1914, when British, French, and German soldiers engaged in an unofficial ceasefire. This Christmas truce, as it came to be known, is the subject of San Diego Opera's All Is Calm at the Balboa Theater.
These people who had such great differences were literally trying to kill each other just hours before, were able to find something that pulled them out of the trenches to celebrate Christmas.
And there was a lot of commotion in the German trenches. And then there were those lights. I don't know what they were. And then they sang, Stille Nacht. Stille Nacht.
I don't believe the Christmas truce would have happened were it not for song. That the men began to sing to one another across no man's land, and the international language of music that allowed them to get past their language differences. But it also built a trust and a camaraderie and a sense of humor between the opposing armies. I really don't believe that without song the truce would have happened.
The story of the Christmas truce of 1914 fascinated Peter Rothstein, and he decided to turn it into the choral opera All Is Calm. Director Alan E. Hicks says there's beauty in the idea that music could be the catalyst to bring enemies together.
And the way it started historically was not with someone coming over and having a conversation, but with the British hearing the Germans singing tunes and wanting to be part of that. That is what drew them to no man's land, and that is what actually got them to shake hands and say, let's not shoot at each other, let's celebrate this beautiful day together. It was the music that did that.
All Is Calm is presented as part of San Diego Opera's Detour series, which explores non-traditional avenues of opera.
Well, if you really think of the essence of what opera is, it's really telling a story through music, right? Every aspect of this piece really exploits the expressive potency of the human voice.
Oh, wassail all over the town, our toasting is white and our age is brown.
The Detour series is meant to look outside the realm of grand opera.
What is grand about this is you're going to have 6 of the best male voices that San Diego has to offer, singing absolutely a cappella all night long. There's no orchestra.
Singer Walter Dumel is also co-founder of Bodhi Tree Concerts, which is co-presenting All Is Calm.
It's storytelling by the choral voice, the solo voice, and the spoken word.
This piece in particular is all about the voice. There's no other instrumentation. It's a bunch of soldiers on different sides of the line who come together and find commonality and common ideas and values through the music. And really, so that pulls our singers together to all work together for the same goal and tune their voices one to another for the end product.
just as the soldiers of these opposing armies came together to form a single bond of humanity.
At darkness, we marched forward to the trenches like Father Christmas with parcels hanging from us.
If I think of the moral of this story, it's that each of us as an individual has the capacity to create peace, because the soldiers did that, right? They stopped war for a moment and created peace.
You know, it was really the lowest of the ranks that made the truce happen. And I wanted to get that into the piece, that the men felt more in common with their enemy than they did with their commanding officer.
Perhaps these soldiers of All Is Calm will inspire individuals today to try and find common ground with their enemies in ways that their leaders may not be willing to do.
For a single night, no man's land was every man's land. And we, the lowest of the ranks, achieved what the Pope himself could not. In the middle of the war, we had ourselves a Merry Christmas.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
KPBS TV will broadcast All Is Calm live this Saturday night at 7. This weekend, December Nights returns to Balboa Park. KPBS arts editor Nina Guerin has a look at that and some of the other events happening around town.
San Diego's biggest holiday event is here, December Nights, happening tomorrow and Saturday at Balboa Park. This event brings out hundreds of thousands of people to enjoy free museum admission, take in the special holiday lights, and try food from around the world. The two-day event also has performances by local choirs, dance schools, and theater groups at stages throughout the park. Remember, December Nights gets really crowded, so it's best to show up early, take public transportation, wear layers and comfortable shoes, and have plenty of cash on hand for food, drinks, and holiday shopping. You can find more about December Nights and other holiday offerings at kpbs.org/events. Another kind of classic will be in San Diego. Rock band Fleetwood Mac celebrates its 50th anniversary with a reunion tour.
Loving you isn't the right thing to do.
The band brings back Stevie Nicks, Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, and Christine McVie to sing timeless hits like Gypsy, Rhiannon, and Landslide. Of course, Fleetwood Mac has always been surrounded by drama, and this time around, Lindsey Buckingham will not be on the tour. Instead, he'll be replaced by Neil Finn of Crowded House and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers guitarist Mike Campbell. If you're more interested in stars from the current music scene, make sure to check out Kurt Vile and the Violators.
All he ever wanted was to be someone in life that was just like, all I want is to just have fun, live my life like the son of a gun.
Vile is a young Pennsylvania musician whose songs have a fuzzed out sound, blended with creative songwriting and a self-reflective point of view. Compare him to Tom Petty and Pavement. Kurt Vile's been performing with like-minded musician Courtney Barnett lately, but for his San Diego concert, he'll be performing with his backing band, the Violators. For KPBS Arts, I'm Nina Guerin.
Satellite and radar showing a very active system here across the southwest. This moisture will continue with us for tonight. We're talking heavy rain and some snow in those higher elevations. In fact, to our north here, there's still some winter weather advisories in that lighter shade of blue, and in that darker shade out towards Big Bear Lake, a winter storm warning. Out towards Los Angeles today, there have been roadways shut down due to snow as well as heavy precipitation. Now, as we continue here at home in towards San Diego, 7 p.m. still going to be looking at that moisture coming on through. Around 9 p.m. still going to be dealing with heavy bands of rain. That moisture will continue to press its way to the east. As for Borrego Springs, Mount Laguna, around the 3 a.m. hour, you'll still be looking at unsettled conditions. Into our Friday around 9 a.m. Not going to be talking about wet weather here any longer. But once again, tonight still going to be some tricky travel out there, some heavy downpours leading to the potential for some flooding. 57 in San Diego here tonight. tonight, 47 in Oceanside. Borrego Springs cooling down to 48 and 38 in Mount Laguna. Rain in towards our metro, then that will begin to taper off as we continue into your Friday. Moisture going to make its way out towards the Four Corner region. Some snow in the northern side of that because that's where we have the chilly air really taking on over to the south. Going to be on the rainy side out towards much of New Mexico. Now, here at home, drier situation setting up as we get this ridge building on in and an upper level high. That's going to allow for the sunshine to return in towards San Diego, as well as Oceanside, topping off in the upper 60s out towards Borrego Springs. As for Mount Laguna, you're topping off at 46 through those morning hours into your afternoon. Still the potential for some pop-up showers. This weekend, still on the dry side here across the southwest. Temperatures will be remaining in the upper 60s along the coast, looking at mostly to partly sunny skies. Also remain dry, getting plenty of sunshine for your Saturday. Inland with a high of 71, 73 on your Sunday. And as we head out towards the mountains, Friday, still the potential for some showers as we can progress into Saturday and Sunday, getting on the drier side with highs in the 50s and a cool down into your Tuesday. We'll be dry here in the deserts for your extended forecast. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Dajia Swat. Back to you.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.